Blessed day, Chris. How are you, man?
I'm doing all right. Did you leave the couch yesterday? Because I mean, we were chock full of sports.
I did. I had a birthday party to go to. I played some tennis with the wife. I had to whoop it real quick.
Uh-huh.
So I did get to watch some sports. I watched the end of the PGA Championship with
Yeah.
Phil. Saw the Lake Show get taken down in Game 1. A lot of good stuff happening yesterday.
Okay. All right. Well, let's get to it. Let's start with some fun stuff here. We all saw the swag chain that the Padres have busted out. Is that skit better than what Bauer did on Friday night in San Francisco with the sword and then leaving the mound after 6 2/3 and doing this? And which skit did you like better?
I liked what Bauer was doing, but you have to remember, he also got thrown out from right field on a base hit. He made a play. He made basically 2 errors on one play on the comebacker from long ago. So, like, it was back and forth. I think what the Padres are doing fits their team perfectly. I'm not a huge fan of, like, the swag chain or the turnover chain. That's not like I would
why
do something
not?
different.
Stop. Why?
Look, Chris, I would do something different. This fits their team perfectly. And I don't know if you remember, Amir Garrett came out early, the first 5 games of the season. He says, we're the swaggiest, cockiest, bat-flipping sons of guns around. The Padres are everything the Reds thought they were. So this fits their personality. And I said about Amir Garrett at the time in the Reds, I said, it's a long season, bro. To keep that energy is very, very hard through 162. The Padres don't know any other way to play baseball. This is what they do. And Fernando Tatis, obviously, as the ringleader there, like, I think it fits their team perfectly. So it's pretty cool. It's a nice chain.
I love it. I love every bit of it. I love both of them, but I'm huge on the chain. I actually texted Hosmer. I was like, dude, where'd you get that thing? And he said, those guys just sent it to Machado. They're like, just tag him every time they post something on IG. And I said, that's how rich guys stay rich.
Yeah, that was smart by that jeweler.
Like that. So, my wife's number one question was, how heavy is that thing? And apparently
6 pounds.
6.5 pounds. So it's no joke. My question is only this. Like, if they're down 7-2 and somebody hits a home run in the 8th inning, does the swag chain still make an appearance? Or no?
That's what I'm saying. It's hard to do this over 162 because, look, what have they won? Like 1 million games in a row? I don't know. But when you get in that –
they went 9-0 on their homestand.
When you get in that lull, what do you do? So we'll see what they do. Like I said, I think they're going to continue to do it because that's just the way they play baseball. And I'm happy it's heavy, Chris, because if that thing was light and it was some BS like plastic – this is the show, baby. That thing better have some real diamonds. That better be at least gold-plated. I don't want to see no fake stuff out there, all right?
I want to hear what everybody thinks of it. Do they think it's too much? Do they love it? What about Bauer? And one more point before we move on. Fernando Tatis is ridiculous. In the last 4 games, he's hitting 786 with 12 RBIs and 3 walks. The last guy to hit at least 750 with 12 ribs and 3 walks over that span, Babe Ruth in 1932. Because you can say whatever you want about the kid. He's amazing. He is amazing. And he's missed what has he had? 13 home runs and he's missed 17 games? I mean,
he's the real deal, man. He's the real deal.
Unreal. All right. Want to remind everybody that we're only a few weeks away from Father's Day. So go out, get Pappy a gift, courtesy of Dugout Mugs. So go to dugoutmugs.com, type in the keyword Rose. You can save 35% on your order if you're one of the first 500. If you're one of the next 500, save 30%. Next 500, 25%. I want to show you what you can get. You can get it in grape any way you want. All right. So if Pops has got a famous nickname or something, or you want to give him one, my kids call me several things that I probably wouldn't print on this, but that's okay. So you got this. You got the wind up as well. We got the bottle opener. All right. And then you've got the knob shot. So we are doing your early Father's Day gift hunting, courtesy of dugoutmugs.com. The keyword there is Rose, and you can save some serious cash. So go out and do it today. I know.
Dude, you're the cool dad. What are you talking about?
Well, yeah, and just because of the jobs I've had.
Yeah, exactly. You're on TV. You're cool.
Yeah, not much anymore. But let's move on. Were you more impressed with the Dodgers sweep in San Francisco or the Yankees brooming the White Sox in the Bronx?
Here's the problem. The Dodgers can't impress me anymore. Like, I have set the bar so high with them. Like, even though Belly's out and Seager's out, like, in my mind, they're just better than everybody. So they can't really impress me. So I will answer your question. I'll say the Yankees sweep was more impressive. At home in front of their home crowd, the White Sox are a juggernaut. Even without Lou Bob and Eloy, like these guys are a juggernaut. They went and had 2 walk-offs. The game that wasn't a walk-off, Garrett Cole shut him out. Turned a triple play in the 9th with Chapman. Like if you were at that series in New York,
right.
You got your money's worth. So the Yankees are kind of hitting their stride. They're trying to keep pace with the Rays. And the Red Sox, like that's going to be awesome to see. But I think that's, and it wasn't just the normal guys there either. Like Gleyber Torres was the guy who stepped up. So I think the Yankees' 3-game sweep was more impressive to me.
Yeah, you know what? I think the Dodgers expected to go in there and roll. Certainly to win the series. I think to sweep it was a bonus. I think for the Yankees to come back and face the number 1 team in the Central that has been pretty steady so far, because they won it seemingly every way possible. And for their last 5 home games, they've walked it off. So that gives you renewed energy. You talked about Torres. He's raised his batting average to nearly 50 points since coming off the COVID list. But it all starts and ends with the starting pitching. 35 consecutive scoreless innings out of their starters is pretty damn impressive. Hasn't been done since the 1932 New York Yankees. The last team to have 5 consecutive scoreless starts in all of baseball by anybody, the 2015 Washington Nationals. They had some pretty good arms on that team.
Yes.
So, the number 1 question heading into the season about the Yankees was, it's Garrett Cole, and then what do we have? They're starting to answer some of those questions. You need to see it a few more times through the rotation, but if you're a Yankees fan today, you're feeling great. So if we were to hop on a plane, fly across country to the JOMBOY Media Baseball offices, we would see a lot of happy faces today.
A lot of happy faces. And remember, they wanted to send Gleyber Torres down because he didn't run a ground ball out. And we said on this show, we said, no, man, that's not his character. It was a one-time thing. Now he's leading them to sweeps of the White Sox at home. So good for him.
Okay. But you know what? They're right up there with the Red Sox you mentioned and the Tampa Bay Rays, who yesterday came back from a 2-run deficit in the 9th to win their 10th straight game. We're now 7 weeks into the season, about Plouffe. Have you seen enough to say they are a legitimate World Series contender, or do you need to see a little bit more?
I mean, they're obviously a World Series contender. And what's funny, though, is we say that, and just 10 days ago, they were sitting at 500.
Right.
But they're impossible to figure out, and that's what they want in Tampa. As soon as you say, oh, look, they're zigging, they start to zag. They traded Adames. They get Fireisen and Rasmussen. They love different looks. They love different arms in the bullpen. This is just another way for them to do it. Obviously, they have a great farm system. So Adames, who I think is a really good player, he's expendable because they got guys raking. I mean, they have 3 different guys they could have called up to replace him. So they went out and got these arms. I faced Fireisen before. Rasmussen, I'm not sure if I have hit a home run off Fireisen. No big deal. But my boy,
By the way, can we stop for a second? When you mention this every day, I feel like you hit 600 homers in the show. Are you sure you didn't hit 600?
I hit a lot of homers, baby. Let me feel myself a little bit sometimes, Chris. Come on, let me have that. All right. My boy Eno Saris. Because, I don't really know these guys, and I don't think a lot of people do. My boy Eno Saris said that both Fireisen and Rasmussen have excellent vertical break, and that's something that the Rays have prioritized in their pitchers. So they have a plan, dude. This is what they do. They are so damn smart. So they have 10 wins in a row. You probably ask any average baseball fan, they could probably name 3 guys on the Rays.
Maybe a little bit more after seeing them in the playoffs last year.
Yeah, I guess you're right because they went to the World Series. But still, I bet you it's around 3 or 4 guys
that you might have been able to name.
They're still doing it. 10 freaking wins in a row, keeping pace with, the teams that have payrolls 3 times, 4 times bigger than them. They're an awesome case study to watch.
I won't ever go against them. You don't have to like what they do in terms of keeping payroll down and trading guys when, they've become big boys at the table, but they've got a plan and they're sticking to it. I went and looked. Only 3 of, I think, the 13 guys that are on their roster right now are homegrown. Everybody else they've plucked from other organizations. Either they've been released or more likely they've been traded for.
That's why.
And they've believed in guys. And that means something to me. Because when you trade a guy like Willy Adames, we saw the hugs that he was given on his way out of town. Like, that guy meant something to that clubhouse. At the same time, the players know that as much as it hurts to lose a friend and to lose those relationships, that they have faith in the organization. And you've been on enough teams to know things can get fractured rather easily when trade time comes and you lose a guy that's an important emotional piece. But when you also know that your front office has a track record, that you'll be like, okay, it sucks personally, but it's done to better our team.
Yeah, it's interesting there because we don't, as baseball fans, we don't want all teams to act like the Rays, because if that starts happening, that's not fun.
No.
When it's just a team like the Rays, we can appreciate it. And I will say about having only 3 homegrown guys, and you're saying they're plucking guys from different organizations, what they're doing is there's a culture there. Like inside that clubhouse, it is a bunch of guys who maybe didn't get enough opportunity in a different organization or were told they weren't good enough. But the Rays are like, no, you might not be good enough in this area, but here's where you're really good, and we're going to put you in this position more often than not. And when that happens, it's like you have a place, you have a purpose on this team, and guys feel it's really fun to be a part of something like that. So even though not everyone's homegrown, they didn't all come up together, they share something. They have a bond in the fact that, look, we weren't good enough for that team, but this team really values us, and that's so important to baseball players.
I don't question that. And by the way, we've talked with Glass now about it on the Chris Rose rotation. Like, he knows he might be living on borrowed time there.
Yeah.
He's going to be too expensive probably after this year. He understands that. It helps that he's already been traded once, I think. But he's busting it for them right now. And he'll give it everything he's got until he's no longer a Tampa Bay Ray, and then he'll give it to somebody else. Last one. Raise your hand if you did not know who Adolis Garcia was at the beginning of this season. You knew who he was?
I did. The only reason I knew him was because I'm a big fan of Cuban baseball players. I say if I'm a GM, I'm just gonna get as many Cubans on my team as possible because I feel like they're just sluggers. They can do everything, man. I love watching those guys play ball. So I knew who he was. I didn't know a ton about him, Chris.
But you knew his name.
We're starting to find out who he is.
Yeah, he. If you didn't see this weekend, what he did, he had 2 walk-offs. I think he had 3 home runs. One of them, after hitting a home run, he turned back to Martin Maldonado, a veteran catcher. I would love to know what was said.
It looked like he said, "I told you not to throw that pitch." That's what it looked like.
Dude, it's amazing. It's amazing what he's done. And over 900 OPS, 14 bombs. He's a 28-year-old rookie, was signed by the Cardinals. It didn't work out there. Texas brought him in. They felt like they had something when they saw him limited time last year. And he's unreal. He has become my 15-year-old's favorite player, in part because Brady is wearing 53 on his baseball team, and there aren't a lot of guys wearing 53 in the show until September call-up time. And he was like, this guy, Adolis Garcia, Dad, you got to start watching him. This was like a month ago. He just exploded. And I love it. I love the shit talking that he's doing on the field. I'm a big fan of all of it. Some people say he doesn't have enough dirt in his spikes. I don't care. I don't know what his backstory is. I don't know how tough it was to fight to get from Cuba to
Exactly. People didn't have dirt in his spikes. The guy risked his life to get out of Cuba. Like, people need to understand. Like, they're talking about, you're mean when they're talking about him. I'm like, listen, whether it's Venezuela, Cuba, these guys are not coming from like the best backgrounds. It's tough there, and like baseball is like the only way out. Yeah, exactly. And a couple more points for Adolis. Someone in the chat made a good point. The Cardinals traded away Adolis Garcia, Randy Arozarena, and Luke Voit for next to nothing. They probably would have liked to have those guys in the outfield and first base, right? Well, not first base, that Goldie, but you know what I mean.
Especially for an organization which has been known for developing its own talent and keeping it there, they let a lot of it run.
And then, Chris, another reason I know Adolis is I did a sequence episode with him. He had this play. Kyle Lewis was on second base, fly ball to him in center field. Kyle Lewis does what every single person that plays baseball does. He took a big fake 3 or 4 steps off to third, trying to draw the throw to third. Adolis said, no. He came up firing to second base.
Oh, I like it.
And back picked him. So go check that out. It was a really, really cool play. Something I saw, I was like, wow, you don't see that too often. And look, man, the guy just thinks about the game a little bit differently. He's got a different background, and that's cool. That's what makes him special.
Great. I love it. Before we get out of here, what do you have working on JOMBOY Media today?
I'm going right back to do a series recap with the Talking Baseball dudes, Jimmy and Jake, and then an episode of Sequence coming out tomorrow. So a lot of things happening. What about you?
Well, the latest episode of the Chris Rose rotation dropped with Stephen Brault and Trevor Williams, his former teammate there in Pittsburgh and current Chicago Cub. That's why I'm giving you a little tip of the cap to the Northsiders there, who are playing some pretty good baseball as well. Really amazing story about Trevor Williams. You know, he got DFA'd in the offseason by the Pirates. Ended up signing with his dad's favorite team. His dad grew up on the south side of Chicago. His older brother was a White Sox fan. So, of course, when you're a brother, you pick the other side. So he ended up being a Cubs fan and kind of walks us through the whole decision-making process and how his dad probably shouldn't even have been here to see his son pitch for the first time in a Cubs uniform. It's really like emotional stuff. So it's really, really cool. Trevor's a great talker. We cover a bunch of baseball stuff with the whole La Russa situation. Great discussion on pitchers loading up the baseball. You get to see guys that are active who are calling out guys for cheating. It's really, yeah, it's really fascinating. And we get even deeper than that little teaser segment we gave out. So, and finally, a little shout out. Speaking of the Cubs, they just whooped up on the Cardinals over the weekend. The Cardinals play the White Sox. You know why that's important tonight?
Tell me.
2 reasons. Obviously, La Russa, first time he ever manages against the team that he took to 2 World Series championships. But Joe West will umpire in game number 5375, tied for the most, I believe, with Bill Kelm for the most ever among Major League umpires. Why are you shaking your head like that? You're not going to bust out the Cowboy Joe tune?
I'm not, dude. I'm not. I don't know. I guess like it's an impressive accomplishment, you know, to stay around that long. But I think there might need to be like a shelf life eventually.
Okay.
Just saying.
Whenever I see Joe West, I would just want to nail that little goblet thing under his chin, whatever that is.
He was always nice to me, so I'm not talking crap.
Yeah, but Plouffe,
congratulations, Joe West.
You were nice to all the people on the field. I have a feeling that.
And now I have to say sorry. Matt Liberatore came over to the Cardinals. Is it Liberatore or Liberatore? He's good.
Yes, he is good.
So, you know, they didn't get nothing for those guys, but I'm just saying, you know, it's a lot of people that are tearing up the big leagues right now that you got rid of. The best ever, Randy Arozarena.
The best ever. Ever. All right, gang. Good way to start your Monday. Everybody have a fantastic day. Thanks for following us here on JOMBOY Media. We greatly appreciate it. We'll see you again Tuesday at 11:30 Eastern, 8:30 Pacific. Can't wait.
We'll see you then.
See you, Plouffe.
Later, guys.